autocratic conservatism and also like a reactionary conservatism. Like reactionary conservatism, like, and you can see this kind of stuff all the time. And they basically, those sorts of conservatism, like with the reactionary conservatism, that one basically says, you see it all the time where a liberal does something, says something, or presents something as an idea, and people's like, "Oh no, it's no, I don't want to do it. It's terrible. Let's just not do it." That's not the sort of conservatism that I'm talking about. Those people, they just, they may hate liberals. They may just hate just any sort of change just for the sake that is change. And so autonomous conservatism doesn't say that. And then you have so that's a reactionary conservatism. Then you have like the autocratic conservatism, and they're these are people who would have been like fighting for like the divine rights of kings and stuff. Um, so no, neither one of those. What- Yeah, yeah, yes, because at the heart of conservatism and liberalism proper, and by liberalism in this context, modern liberalism, conservatism comes from the larger liberal traditions, and liberal means holds like um, somewhat firmly somewhat firmly to like a core set of ideas. So from political liberalism, you have like conservatism, then you have like modern liberalism. Modern liberalism is of the opinion, basically, that humans are by nature good, society corrupts them, and so government is useful um, for correcting errors of larger society. Uh, I think that there are logical issues with that, um, and so I lean conservative. And so conservatism says that people are by nature flawed, and that you can use government to limit the evils of people. And so fundamentally, they have different foundational philosophical ideologies. And this is part of the reason why, like now that on the political spectrum, usually conservatives, it's like, 9 point something to one, for each respective party. Liberals tend to be Democrat, and then conservatives tend to be Republicans. It wasn't always the case, but right now, that's the current state of politics. Bush was a liberal Republican. Um, Bill Clinton was a conservative Democrat, to give some concrete recent examples. And there were multiple of these that existed throughout time. You used to have Republican progressives, Republican
Ooh,
conservatives, Republican Yeah, what's up, bro?
two questions with that. In your opinion, what would be the difference, classically and modernly? Would you say the difference between liberal and progressive? And is there a counterpart other than just saying conservative? Because typically you get conservatives on the one side, and then you get liberals and progressives on the other. Is there another term used on the other side with conservatives as well?
Alt
So
right.
2 points. Okay.
Alt right would be like the counterpart to progressivism.
Okay.
Um,
And what would you say classically, modernly, the difference between liberal and progressive?
Yeah, progressives see like a like never ending, and these are like I said, part of what's taken over modern liberalism. But liberals, classically, used to be, like I said, you had their view of the state as like needing to correct certain wrongs of society, whereas the progressives saw that basically that things can never actually remain the same. And so the progressives are usually the more Marx-Leaning ones that usually are more heavy into like revolution and that kind of thing. So everything about the system itself has to change. Liberals would usually basically say, that there are some core things, that we need to have like in place. It's like, if you think economically, it would be a lot of stuff like, the liberals would push for certain social programs, not socialism, but certain social programs. The progressives take that stuff a step further, and everything with them, um, there's no ceiling for them. They're willing to just continue changing just about everything. Um, so yeah, it's about them, sort of a larger reform of like society as a whole, for progressives. And then like the alt right people, they're they're pretty extreme in the opposite direction. And it's one of the funny things because they're considered right leaning, but if you start asking, like they've done on multiple occasions, like get a bunch of, I think it was the dude Nick Fuentes, like when they were interviewing him, you start talking about conservative talking points, and he's like, gross, no. You know what I'm saying? He's not a fan of stuff, but yeah, but that's the this counterpart. But yeah, so you like you could see like Obama was he was a liberal. Um, and if you watch, like I said, the most recent Democrat primary, most of the people up there were trash talking Obama because they didn't think that he had done enough. And
They were more progressive then.
yep. And they're all wanting to make it known that they're the most progressive one up there. No. I'm gonna change even more about society.
So let me ask you this for Black folk in general. Where do we fall in the spectrum? And again, I'm saying spectrum between liberal and conservative. Um,
Conservative.
overall, one I was gonna say overall, and then depending on the topic
Yeah.
at hand. You know what I'm saying?
So like socially black folks are going to be they're going to be more conservative economically. Lots of times their spending is usually on the they usually support more liberal spending policies, more liberal progressive spending policies. But yeah, but socially they usually line up like almost 1-to-1 with conservatism. So it's the way we were raised, you know what I'm saying? It's the way we were brought up. So on those things, you'll you can usually get them to agree. With lots of black folks, if you talk to lots of their concerns are it's about like for example, let me give some concrete examples. And it came up in the video, near the end of the video, but like one of the things that is a major conservative talking point. Well, it used to be historically, and like I said, you have a bunch of reactionary conservatives who are taking things a different direction. But classically speaking, the conservatives are the ones who don't trust government. Because remember, for the conservative, the government and like the police and all stuff like that, those are necessary evils. And so they don't actually like them. They realize that there's a necessity of having them around. And so conservatives have usually been like, hey man, like we don't give a damn about the damn police. Like these conservatives, these are the gun people. These are the people who don't trust, who don't want the school teaching their kids all sorts of things. They're some of the main ones, like storing up, and storing up a bunch of food and stuff in their basement in case a civil war starts. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the conservative talking points. They're also very heavily conspiracy theorists, conservatives. Conservatives usually are, and that's another thing that black folks usually love. And it's just because they have a general distrust of government. It's the liberal side is the side that praises the government and thinks that it's necessary in order to fix society. They think that people are good, but like black people, we generally we ain't classically we ain't going around thinking that everybody good. We actually think that people is toe up and they messed up and all kinds of stuff, and so we see issues, and we think that certain things should exist for restraining that. But yeah, those are some of the sort of overlapping points. Like yeah, and then like when you think like classically what our positions in the black community have historically been over things like we have up until recently with all of y'all strong willed sisters. We had traditional families. Very traditional families. Our positions on homosexuality they lined up very well with conservatives. Yeah, we had just conservative outlooks on lots of things socially.
Cool. Where's A1? He here?
Nah, he ain't here yet.
Um,
Um,
okay, so then okay, hold on. Because your ending was that we should like be conservative, right?
yeah,
Okay, but then you said that we hyper focus on racism.
yeah. Well, yeah. And what I mean by that is, in some of the example stuff that's given is that one of the black folks often they see most everything as binary. Um, and in seeing it binary, there's a couple things that go along with that. One, the painting of the other person as an other, as opposed to possibly like a reflection or possibly something to emulate. They're the things that they do are other, and so like this gets into some the issues with to pick up on things that are more conducive for positive outcomes. So, and we've talked about this before, like we're talking about some of the studies and what they've shown about like things like talking white. because of our because of the hyper focus on racism specifically, we associate proper speech with white, and because it's white, we say that it's bad, and it's not for us to do. Um, so those are the sorts of things where that hyper focus. Not to say that you can't be aware. So not to say that you can't be aware. It's not to say that you can't have your experiences. Um, but it is to say that if the focus, if there's too much of a focus on it, it can cloud your judgment. Um, so yeah, so things like that happen, and then it throws us off. So it also means that because we think of everything binary, we usually only think of white people as our point of reference, and only well, often only when it comes to looking for some negative outcome. And because of this binary thinking, where with us it's either or, we also think that it's either or in the respect that that it's only black and white. So we do comparisons of black and white, and we don't even look like within the black spectrum, to see, like for those who are performing well, like they could be performing on par or close to white counterparts. What sort of activities and things are they engaged? And like I said, and because we associate those sorts of activities as being white, we're just not going to do it. So like lots of like I was in a back and forth with another black academic, and he was arguing that black folks need to have a counterculture, and there's all sorts of sociological problems that would come along with that. Not the least of which would be, you can't participate in the larger society as a whole if what you're doing is bucking against it, because a counterculture doesn't. We're not just talking about a subculture where it's like it's under the main culture. Counterculture says, well, whatever the mainstream doing, we're just going to be doing the opposite. Well, you can imagine how terrible that's going to be if you go try to like get a job or something that you're doing, and you're bucking against all social conventions. That's a problem. But that attitude and that response is one that because his whole driver, the academic I was talking to, his focus is racism, and so he was pushing the critical race theory stuff, and he's like, no, we need to buck against everything, all American culture, black, we need to just buck against it all, and then what you'll have is a group of people who won't be able to participate in the larger society, because that's what it takes to live in a large society, to participate, abide by the mores and folkways and customs of the people. If you're not going to do that, you can't prosper. It's just not possible.
So what do you think caused that issue? Because you were like, okay, you said also that like after slavery, after slavery, like people like pushed, right? They pushed for success, regardless of all of that and everything else. But then somewhere down the
Yeah.
line, we got a culture of that avoids our problems. Like we blame
Well,
it on
not.
racism, and then we have you said something was like the music was an issue too. Where was
No. Well, no. No. What I was pointing out that because usually what we recognize is that music, that art imitates real life, right? And so that's how it began. But as art becomes more widespread, art also has an influence on a larger culture. So then you get the inverse of that. You get life influencing our artwork. And so what I was talking about is the window we can see into our culture. And this is what I was saying. One of the issues is that when trying to put together a paper like that, you want to talk about black issues and stuff, where most of the academics writing about it, they don't come from the area, they don't know anything about it. So um so they don't really know enough to offer proper solutions. So like when trying to find citations, things like that, one of the best ways that I was saying, like in our music and in our art forms, we talk about the reality of the things that are going on there, right? So like Tupac famously says, and they're saying it's the white man I should fear, but it's my own kind doing all the killing here, right? Like that's that's Tupac. When Tupac is talking about,
yeah, I didn't like
talking
that
about
black
reality.
on black violence thing you threw in there either.
Oh well, that's you got a
No,
problem with the stats then. Yeah,
no,
you got a problem
I
with the
don't
stats
have a
then.
problem with the stats. We know that black people normally live around black people.
Well,
So
see, but that's the thing.
when they're
If that
encountering
doesn't
crime
explain,
or encountering everything else, it's probably gonna be
no,
around the people who they're around, right? The same as
no,
white
no,
people.
no. It's actually no. So and that's what I'm saying. So the actual stats are going to be a little different than that. It's especially when you look at the participation in crime and stuff overall, right? Where 92% of the victims are going to end up being are going to be black. That doesn't explain the prevalence and the rate at which crime itself happens. And in which case, and it's Pareto, it's Pareto to where it's not all black folks and stuff as a whole. There's actually like a swath of black folks. Like usually if you find like somebody who got a body, you usually got a couple of bodies, right? And so they'll account for multiple murders that are going to be in the murder stats. But so so like if if it's going to be the theft stuff, right, they usually ain't stole someone. Like the people we know, they be boosting, you know what I'm saying? So like we know the people. So but what that is that there actually is a difference in mindset with respect to attitudes of crime. And I don't have to tell you that. I mean, like it's niggas on this call.
What?
We know the source of is niggas on this call. Okay, we know the sorts of things that that we praise, and the sorts of things that get you acclaim in your community. Like for example, I'm a very respected person when I go to my neighborhood, or like even for people who's not from my neighborhood, I'm a very respected person when I go over there. And it doesn't have anything to do with, I mean, like now, like people, if they know the stuff I'm doing now, like they usually, but I don't usually talk about it. Like I mention it to niggas online because I don't like them talking, but in person, most people don't know what I'm doing. They don't know what I've done. I ain't so much as posted a graduation photo from like at all on social media. Nobody knows what I'm doing. People online know more about me than people who know me in real life, but I'm respected for different reasons. As are multiple people. I mean, we are, um, in we incentivize in the inner city black community, because it's worth mentioning that there are at least two Black Americas. There's at least two of them. But in inner city black urban America, we incentivize certain activities. Like, for example, let me give you my California representation. Right, in California, the one of the things that's always been praised out here is real big time out here, pimping and hoeing. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's that's major for us. That is real big. It's real major for us, right? But and even outside of California, like in early time, and I don't know what this looks like now in other places, but like that's major. Like we respect street niggas. Like we like to say we know killers and shooters and stuff like that, right? Like we're not talking about
Oh,
like
well, I mean, we
wanting
know that that's how it is. Just listen to the
what
calls.
that's why I'm saying but that's exactly my point. Those are the sorts of things that we respect, and we incentivize. And one of the things that happens with that is, it was praised, right, with the newer generation. If they're looking on, if they're watching, what's the ethic that we're teaching them? What's the ethos? What are we telling them that it is? And so like when you look at like street niggas and stuff, it is a race to see who can be and there's a hierarchy that's established basically on who's the most deviant, who has the coldest heart, like who can be the most cruel. And that's why we respect killers. That's why we take our position that we do on snitches, because the underlying ideology is basically is that that these sorts of practices, these get you the prestige. Like yeah,
I
so
mean,
it's
it would, and it depending on your area. So, like, I don't know how to say it. It's like depending on your area, right? You might have, for instance, so I had a boyfriend at one time who was a super, really street dude, right? And I'm a person that likes to go to, regardless of where I lived. I went to private schools my whole life, private colleges, private, high school, and I was very cultured. Traveled a lot, did everything. So even though I got with him and he was street, I was all like, we're gonna go to plays and we're gonna do this and that. And then, he ended up getting shot up. But the one thing that I realized is that when I had to change, when he changed who he was and what he was about and what was important to him,
mhm.
he had to change his location.
Right, yeah,
And so
see,
because like
and
we
that's the
didn't change the location, right?
well, yeah,
He
yeah,
got
that's the yeah,
what he got.
that's
So
part of the
it's like
point.
I know, yeah, I know, but that's why I was thinking when you said it, like, okay, because that's like that is a culture thing there. Because when you're in it, right, you do have to be that. But when you're
Yeah,
not in it and you're not that
yeah.
anymore, you're a target. You're a mark.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Because and that's part of the reason why like we become the way that we are, like when we in this, because it's a survival thing. And so you have to participate, and this is why I'm saying, like, even in larger America, in order to make it there, you have to participate in the larger culture. The difference here though is one of these set of actions and activities. It results in like material success, and then you also closely adhere to to something like objective morality, right? Because the larger culture society, generally speaking, they're trying to be morally upstanding people, and that's because it's been codified in their system. So within their system, they've taken moral principles and they've codified them and says you have to live like this, and you know what I'm saying, in order to participate. Otherwise, we remove you from it. And the other one, we say, well, we don't. We have our own morality. And so if you don't adhere to these particular codes, then you can't exist here, and you probably won't live very long. Niggas will run you off. You know what I'm saying, like all that kind of stuff. But so
But then,
so
does
and,
it, but can it be? Is it? So is it black culture? Or is it poor culture?
Well, no, well, so it's so this one wasn't so black folks. They have a culture, so you certainly have poor culture. All poor people don't behave like this, though. So
Don't behave
it's one
like
of
what? Like the way our poor people
so
behave?
yeah, because even in earlier Black America, right? You had all sorts of people who were like equally poor, but they weren't doing all of the same stuff. Um, you what's developed now, and what lots of us identify um, as, and that's what I'm saying, is because it's not black code. It's a certain it's the culture of a certain swath of Black America. Like I said, there's at least two Black Americas. You've always had this conflict within Black America, and like you had this where the freemen used to really dislike the freedmen, right? And so you had like a loss of the mulatto classes and stuff like that, right? They really didn't like the slave classes of people. They didn't like the way they acted, the way they behaved, the way they talked. You could talk about like the group that was produced, like lots of the greatest Black thinkers: Booker T. Washington, W.B. Du Bois, Ida B. Wells. Those were different. They weren't representative of the sort of Black American stuff that I'm talking about, and they were because they came from the New England schools. They came from the New England schools, stuff like that. So they had different practices. They didn't live amongst lots of the Southern whites, and even like people stuff who lived amongst lots of Southern whites. You had like a class of people, stuff like that, there, who they couldn't stand the other Black folks stuff that came around. So you've always had this tension between these two Black Americas. So it's not Black culture as a whole. It is what's often called Black culture, and this is like, and so like when I talk to people who didn't grow up like in the sort of Black America stuff that I came from, right, then familiar to whatsoever, these people usually actually think that what they're talking about, when really what they're talking about is like ghetto culture and stuff like that. They tend to confuse that with Black culture, and so then they oftentimes try to mimic it. And this is one of the phenomena that we've seen over time, where like even among immigrant classes, like one of the sociological studies that I referenced in the lecture. It was a sociology study done comparing. Were they in DC? I think it was DC. Um, they were comparing two black, phenotypical Black communities, one of which was native-born Blacks, right, descendants of American slaves, of African American slaves, and they compare them to West Indians. They compare them to an adjacent West Indian neighborhood in the same area. And then they tracked their kids. They looked at their kids. They looked at their outcomes. They looked at their income. They looked at their education and stuff over time. And there were marked differences between the native Blacks and the West Indian, the descendants of the West Indians. These were immigrant peoples, and they all looked alike. They had similar names, right? And so racism can't account for the difference in outcome between them. It can't, because the West Indians were worlds ahead they were worlds ahead of the native born African American Negro. And the differences came down to some of the sorts of things that we would call cultural. And so they had different outlooks and different attitudes with respect to like education. So like the West Indians, even though their parents stuff made similar income and stuff, they had different attitudes towards education. So they spent more on education. They had different habits when it came to like reading to your kids at home, and so and to an employer who was looking to hire one and not the other. Like if you weren't trying to hire a Black person, if you were just racist, um, there's just something to be said about those differences, right? And then when you think about even lots of Africans who migrate over here right now in present day, what are they usually focused on very, very heavy? They very, very heavily focus on education. And so, they'll send their kids over to, to some medical school, or they'll have them in a local city college and they send them to a university and stuff after that. And there's no question as to whether or not they're going to be going to go get a graduate degree or a PhD and stuff after that. And they'll come over here with no money and still and they'll still accomplish all of that kind of stuff. I had multiple friends who went to Fresno Pacific University with me who were from the Congo, or they were from South Africa, and we had lots of the students there. Actually, there's a large immigrant community stuff there at Fresno Pacific because they make conscious efforts to get people in. But yeah, I mean one of them came over here and didn't speak any English, and then he ended up being like one of the deans at the university after a couple of years. He went there, graduated, got his master's degree. But he did all of his stuff there, his bachelor's, master's degree, and after that, he became one of the deans and stuff over at the school. And so there's stuff like that, and then you compare like certain people that I know, and this is anecdotal, but the larger studies kind of bear this out too, like the sociology one I'm just saying. I got niggas who I've known personally. We went to the same damn schools. Like we lived in the same neighborhood, went to the same schools, and they'll tell me ain't no opportunity here. And so there's just a difference in overall outlook as well. I got a friend, his name is Doug Kalungu. This is the dude who I said became one of the deans at the university. Doug Kalungu is he's a congressman now in the Congo. It was previously his father's seat. He won and took the seat after his father passed. But like Doug Kalungu talks about how he came over here the first time, and he said he worked for somebody under the table and made himself $100. And he got his first crispy $100 bill, and he sent the money back to the Congo, and he bought. He was from a region called Kingwala, and he bought his whole village like a bunch of like beans and some rice, and they was able to buy like 2 chickens or something like that. And he was talking about like they were sending him video and stuff of like the whole village crying and stuff. You know what I'm saying, because they were able to get some rice and some beans and some chicken. So, and then he talks about how he had to, after that, a couple of days later, he had to go speak at a homeless shelter, right? And so he was just getting his English and stuff going, and he went to go speak at a homeless shelter. And he got to a homeless shelter, and he was shocked. He said, man, he said, like, I wish I was rich like you guys. He was like, man, the village. He's like, man, I like, we don't have this kind of stuff over here. And then he shows us pictures, right? He has pictures on his Facebook page. He has a Facebook page called Kalungu for Congo, and he shows this school that they built like out of sticks and mud and stuff. And so like he was using money that he was earning here, and they were building this little school building where it was just like a brick hut, but you have to pay local people there to use their trucks to transport dirt if you have to bring it from far. And he was showing pictures of the construction of the thing, and it's like 60 African niggas walking with a handful of with a handful of dirt, and they got their hands crushed together, and they doing it, and they making mud bricks that way. They have no power equipment, and so they built this school, and they built that school because prior to them building that school, they would have to leave for school at like 4 a.m, and by the time they got back, it would be 4 p.m. They spent over 12 hours a day just walking to school to get to a school that was like a couple miles away, and then they had to walk back home afterward. And so when they come over here, they have a different attitude towards school. And so this other homeboy from I really don't like him, my homeboy anymore, but he was talking about how he said how far he used to walk to school. He said after walking that far to school every day, he said I show up here and he's going to Fresno City College, the local community college. He said then when I get over there, all I see is black people standing in the hallways or like they ditching class, like they're on the college campus but not in class. And so for them, it was a culture shock. They come and they like, you know what I'm saying? I hear my people, but I don't see my people because they like, y'all look like me, but we don't have the same approach and we don't have the same attitude towards education. Exactly. And so that attitude that they have towards education, it ain't the one to other. So like Africans who come here, they come here from the continent.
But
and then they were surpassed.
That comes here.
No, it's not almost every other culture comes here because like even among like if you look at like native born Asians who are born here in America versus the and
They're born
they can.
here. They're like American. They're Americanized. Because
Well, no, I'm not saying they're
people
not
with
Americanized, but
Asians
I'm
who
saying,
live in Asia, like all throughout
well,
there, and they
that's what I'm comparing.
six days a week of school. They going to school all day, all
No,
night, and
that's
learning
no,
English and
that's
then
no. It's the same one. It's but native born Asians do the same thing. Native born Asians do the same thing as their Asian counterparts from across the sea.
but they also stay within each other culturally.
Well, well, I don't know how that affects the outcome we're talking about. I'm
Because
just
they
saying that
stay in their
that they're
so it's like they don't be when you become Americanized, you have this I don't know, it's like a where you feel like you should be given things, right?
native born whites, native born whites
It's
who are
just
born here in
like
America, native born Americans, white Americans,
they
and
still
their
think that
European
same way.
counterparts. No. I'm just saying that they participate in the same activities. So like, so they don't have a different attitude towards education, for example, or work ethic or anything like that.
It
It's
might be also because
it.
but are you talking about the native born ones that's in the same state as black people?
But
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Like for instance,
oh,
if they
sorry.
were a native born white person that was born in the hood, would they have the same as you know what
Yeah.
I'm
So
saying?
yeah. So yeah.
Somebody that was born in Beverly Hills or some shit.
Well, so if you compare, like, because if you do a comparison, poor whites and poor blacks, they likewise don't behave the same. So you may have some variation with income within a racial class, but there's still no correlation. So, like, for example, like on the performance spectrum, Black Americans, Puerto Ricans, and Mexicans have similar performance levels in all the areas that we're talking about. Income levels, education levels, spending on education, they have similarities between uh, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, and blacks. There's similarities between those people groups.
Dre, question though.
Yes, sir.
Isn't part of your conclusion that it's a hearkening call of Black America to go back to its roots
Absolutely.
originally where
Absolutely.
we
Yeah.
saying that
Conservative.
like
Yeah.
we had a culture post 1865 up through the early 1900s. We had a certain cultural
Yeah.
attitude.
Yeah. There
Yeah,
were
you
certain
get
cultural
that.
attitudes, certain practice, certain beliefs. Yeah. And so there was a certain way of being, and then there was, and then there was a what I would call a destiny, right? That something happened in that interim, and then things changed. One of the major things that happened right there was the implosion of the nuclear family. And lots of the other cultures and stuff that we're comparing, if they have these sorts of things, one of the things that they have going for them is the traditional nuclear family. So that was disrupted for a number of reasons. The sexual revolution being one of them. It hit our community really, really hard. Um,
The what
um,
revolution?
the sexual revolution.
Like the 70s? The little
Yeah, yeah, yep,
it hit the black
yep.
America hard? How? Why? How?
Well,
Well,
there are.
first of all, wait. I've just never ever heard that. I'm confused right now.
Well, the sexual revolution
I've only
it
heard of
hit
hippie.
women hard. Yeah, so it hit American culture stuff hard just as a whole, but that coinciding with the rise of the welfare state, those sorts of things, the attitudes towards family changed, um, because you went from the preparation that lots of other cultures and communities do, preparation for marriage and family stuff like that, to the idea that I don't need a man, and that I don't have to have one in. And then if you do so at a time when blacks historically are underperforming economically, right, and where the safest bet is going to be to get married, get a kind of thing, you combine your income, right, and then you can help push the next generation, right. When the man was removed from the household, you now have a generation of like broken children, right. So this would be like where a lot of our, aside from you old people on here, a lot of our parents, around the time when a lot of them were born, and so lots of them
No.
came into, yeah, a
So
lot of them came,
I'm saying
lots of them
the
came into a
woman
generation in
saying you
time.
don't need a man versus a family not needing a man. It's two different things, right?
No, it's not, because the women are generally going to end up procreating and having kids and stuff anyway, and so you can't have a family saying I don't need a man because you won't have a family in the first place. Now watch this. There are entire like
No,
they're inter.
no, no.
Okay, honey, don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay. Because a woman saying I don't need a man, right? Meaning that I can make my own money, I can pay my own bills, I can do all of that stuff, right? Alone, I can. I don't have
She
to.
couldn't. No, no,
I don't have
no.
to
The woman
keep.
at the no, honey. The
Or
woman at the time saying it couldn't do it. The
I
woman at the time saying it couldn't do it.
they couldn't do it. Then how did they
No, they
get it?
couldn't do it. That's why I said the rise of the welfare state. So you actually had women saying they need a man, and they could be in a relationship, and they cannot be. And with the sexual revolution, that was telling them that they didn't need to worry about like traditional forms of sex and practice like that with sex. They started having sex more often, more regular partners. And regular not meaning that certain people were recurring, but that they had a more relaxed attitude towards sex. You started having a bunch of children born out of wedlock, and so it's from the start of them coming in, it was producing broken homes and families. They wouldn't do the things that lots of older generations would do if you got pregnant out of wedlock, where you would have a shotgun wedding. Y'all get married and you have to make the stuff work. The welfare state basically said, if there's a man in the home, we won't give you any benefits. And so lots of women, in order to supplement the other part when the man went in, or like if he just got on their nerves, you weren't going to push through. You didn't have to push through and work at the issues or say we got to stay together because we need to survive financially. The man was removed from the home. Bro, you can get out. And there are interviews from women at the time talking about this exact thing. Like we have our ancestors on video telling us that now, because they were going to get welfare and public assistance, that they didn't need to stay with the man that they were with,
So
that they could leave.
right. So that means that they were with them for purposes other than just like being a family. Actually,
And
because that could,
well,
if money
hence
could
me talking,
differentiate or
well,
that could
hence me talking about,
differentiate, then that
well, hence me talking about sexual revolution, because those sorts of ideas, right? Those sorts, it raised the idea that because the major thing and the major traditional view of family and stuff like that, historically speaking, for the human history in the world,
I
has
disagree.
not has not been it has not been largely about love. If you got love
Yeah.
in your companionship, right, that will be a benefit, right? You could
Mhm.
foster and cultivate love, but 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 the thing about it is that if they're doing so, saying, well, well, I'm not a lover, I don't want to be here, or like whatever the thing is, the detriment happened to all of the subsequent generations. And so if in your mind that was a better
But
sacrifice,
but no, I'm
you know
saying to me, if you're saying a woman not needing a man is different than a family. Like not needing, you need a man in a family.
there's a
Right?
distinction without a
So
difference
that's
there.
why
Those
I
are the
didn't
same thing.
understand. No,
No, those are the same. No, those are
she's
the same thing.
alone. She doesn't need one. But if you're going to start a family, for sure you need a man.
Yeah, no.
Like
So
you need
like I
to
said,
raise
women
children,
were saying they
all
didn't
of
need a
that
man.
stuff.
Women were saying they need a man, whether they were single or whether they were married. And again, if they're
So
not
they
saying
didn't
that they
do
don't.
like how they did later in time, where it was like they would say that the man ain't here, and they would still be there, but they would like hide their shit, ruin speculating
No,
and
no.
all that
By and
other
large, no. The women they weren't staying in their relationships. They weren't staying in their relationships at all. Lots of them were leaving their relationships. They were leaving their marriages because they could supplement the income. They could supplement at least part of the income, and so actually they ended up living very poor, abject lives. Lots of them, and then they produced children who didn't have a present father. You started getting kids who were aggressive because even though women tend to be the side that's more empathetic, when you're just giving a bunch of empathy and stuff like that to a kid, and you're just super nice to a kid, instead of them becoming empathetic, sweet people, you may actually make little
they
monsters who
don't.
think that the world
Yeah.
that they think the world revolves around them. And so now you could have a group of very aggressive young men who can't control their anger. They don't know the difference between assertiveness and aggression.
This
And
is
so,
also around like when crack is here, right? Too.
well, crack
Drugs,
crack
all of that.
crack would have came after, but because during that time though, you would have had a bunch of people sitting around doing nothing.
Doing nothing.
Yes, you
Welfare
would have
was
had a bunch of
paying
people sitting
that
around doing
much
nothing.
that people could do nothing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Welfare wasn't
Oh,
paying them much, which is why they were living in abject poverty. You needed to, because the welfare wasn't going to give you that much, but they were making enough to pay their bills. They got supplemented housing, right? And so this is where you get like lots of housing projects, and so you can start to see a picture where if they're there, there's no present fathers.
right. That's when the
People.
mother became the dominant figure in the household, right?
Yes,
All right, yeah. I mean, well,
yeah,
I said that because I said that in poor, well, in the
Actually, gave
poor
a speech about
areas,
that about
it's a matriarchy.
yeah.
actually gave a speech about that about a year or two ago, at a local conference, essentially saying the same thing, that the U.S. government and welfare essentially replaced within the black community the man that the what supplemented and replaced what the man was in the household traditionally.
See, but
Yeah,
I think
Therefore,
that people should say it differently because when you're saying that it replaces a man, it makes it seem like that there aren't any men present when in fact what it did was give a power dynamic switch.
no, because the problem is that there weren't men present, and so like
There
we can see
is.
that like no, we have numbers, we have numbers and data and again, and we can see with the outcome, like we have numbers, data stuff for multiple places. Like if you start looking at the generation stuff that was in jail, and you start looking at the surveys and the studies of these people, you start looking and you're seeing that they actually didn't have a father present home, so they have no reason to lie and say that there was not a father present. But like we know this for multiple reasons. We know because incarceration rate went up. We know that men were in prison. We know this. We know this not just from like the exit stuff from the welfare programs where they're saying that there's no man. And we know from multiple different data points that the men actually weren't present. We get the testimony of multiple children that their dads weren't present. So no, it's the men actually weren't present. Like today, right now, this last generation stuff that we produced, we're the most active fathers, even if we're not in the home. And lots of it, I think, is because and I'm talking about in every area except for reading to your kids at night. We're surpassing other races with our presence as black men and fathers right now. But that wasn't the case with the previous generation. That previous
I
generation
hate
actually had loads of absent fathers.
I hate to agree with the Slim Reaper on just about anything, but and I grew up I was born in '76, grew up mostly in the '80s. Of the 7 friends that I had, it literally was one father in the home out of our friend group. And while I knew my father, I went from like second grade till ninth grade without seeing him. And we in the same city. You know what I'm saying? And so my friend, I call him Gene, but his real name Norman. I was best man in his wedding. I've been knowing him since I was 5. His father, during that time frame, was more of a father in the ways he could be than my father ever was. But I knew he wasn't my father. He was my friend's father. He'd catch me fighting that aggression Leandre was talking about.
Mhm.
That was me. And so because I was poor, the kid that had a little something, if he said something about me, in my mind, I ain't got nothing to say back. So I'm gonna hit him in his mouth. So he would catch me fighting, grab me, take me to my grandmother, let her know he had to rough me up a little bit. And my grandmother accepted it because my uncles, in her mind, even though they lived in the house with me and her, because of the lifestyle they was living, she didn't want them disciplining me. And he was the only male figure within my vicinity that had the reputation, for lack of a better word, that she wouldn't mind him, disciplining me because I lived with her instead of either of my parents. So I can literally speak to being a case study for what Leandre talking about. And then on the other side, where he say fathers are more present, I will die before I let somebody take me out of the house with my kids, because I know what it's like not having a father and in the home, and how that affected my behavior versus my friend who had his father present, and my other friends, some of which never even met their father. And then you had, as Honey pointed out, crack coming in, or Leandre, one of y'all pointed in, crack coming in later that compounded all of those issues. So I as much as I hate to agree with Slim Reaper, I have to admit he making a compelling point. And I think the sexual revolution wouldn't have been necessary if our old dudes would have just gave their women oral pleasures. That's my position.
It's just, what's funny? DMG, I was watching a dang comedy special thing he was talking about the other day, and he was talking about that. It is really funny because when I think back to just like being a young dude and growing up, hearing all of the dudes talk about, listen, they was not finna go down on they women at all. Like they wasn't finna do it. And now I'm saying, yeah,
Well,
it's
the
a little different
crazy
now.
Now it's grocery time. Now
Yeah.
it's grocery time. You know, it's sweet.
Right. So, but I think that's unfortunately, man, Leandre. Like I got to argue with you. I argue with you about the color of the sky, but I have nothing for what you said.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, for once. He said that and then he jumped off the call.
But y'all, period. I don't have
uh,
I don't have those experience. Well, unfortunately, I don't. Well, I can't say unfortunately. I guess fortunately, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know because even though I'm adopted, my biological family, yeah, they probably not probably they fit a lot of these statistics. But that's why I asked about people being in the home but not being registered as being in the home. They would have been considered single mothers or single women while having have been with a man for 15 years or something, right? But
Yeah.
in my adopted family, I'm adopted, so I didn't grow up with them. I grew up here. They're middle class. They all are educated. They all are this, that, and the other, and their standards are different for their kids than like my biological family will. They'll be like excited about somebody getting a high school diploma, right?
Hey.
A lot of
Mhm.
whereas in my adopted family, it's like you're supposed to do
Duh.
that. Where's your bachelor's degree? Where's your master? Like like they don't give a damn
Hey,
about
hey,
your high
honey,
school
honey, see,
diploma, right? So
honey, see.
Mhm.
it's a difference there, and so the way I grew up is different. So I can't tell you about friends in the area who had XYZ because all of my friends were from like all over
Yes.
the world.
So
Now,
So I didn't have that.
were your adopted parents, were they black?
Yes,
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. See, so you were raised by the other black American.
the other is
so
crazy.
so
Yeah.
it's interesting. I have two. I come from basically two sides of it. There's one side where on my mother's side, she came from a military family,
And
and
it's usually the
and
daddy side boy.
and she was and there was two parents, my grandmother and my grandfather. They came from two parents, all the way down. There wasn't none of that going on my daddy's side. So my grandmother, rest in peace. Her mother, she's the oldest of 13 from her mother, and she's the only one from her mom and her dad when they're together. The story goes that when she was already born, my great grandfather went to the military, went to war. When he came back to a wife with a baby on his arm. When he left, she was not pregnant, and she was nowhere close to being pregnant. So you do the math.
Byron,
So
Byron, no,
he,
Byron.
he was gone. He was gone, and rest in peace to Mama Dia.
A cat
She
named
got
Jody, boy.
she
Jody.
had she had 13 of them. I think no more than two had the same father. So shout out to all my great aunts and uncles. But um, my dad didn't grow up with his dad in the house. Fortunately for him, he and my grandmother ended up remarrying. And his adopted father raised him and his sister, and my uncle and aunt that came after them. But he can tell me today, like, my last name Washington is only a handful of Washingtons that we actually know, and we know where them niggas live. We know where they at, but like we don't know them because that man, his father, was not in and around the house. In fact, in so much that he, even into my adulthood, he still lived in the same city and general area that we were in, and he was disappointed because as a youth, when my grandfather, was actually my step grandfather, but my grandfather my whole life, came around, we would call my step grandfather Paw, and we didn't know who my biological we didn't know that nigga at all, and he was hurt, but he was only hurt because nigga wasn't around. So my dad made an admission that he was like, that shit gonna end with him, and that he's been extremely involved. He was extremely involved in us growing up, two-parent household, all the same, to make sure that didn't happen. Even that he even talked about as I got older, that made a choice into who he was gonna marry. Like when he was looking for women, he was looking for my mom. He was looking for a woman who came from a background that he desired because he knew that
He was trying to set. He was intentional, trying to
he,
set the kids up
yeah,
right.
yeah. So that's when when old folks them old folks used to be like, who your people is, and they will know, like, your last name, and they won't meet you with doing that old school courtship. they was just checking the background and say, okay, what stock you come from? Like, who you
Hey,
people
hey
is, whatever.
Byron,
Because
Byron, you see, that's point when I say like the stuff that we prioritize when it comes to like marriage and family and stuff. Like when they were trying to put together like a solid like again, they needed to know much more. They need to know much more than that. Like yeah, yeah,
damn about
you trying to
love.
put together you was trying to put together like something that was going to be solid, that was going to be for the generation to come after. You know what I'm saying? We got different ideas about this stuff, man.
Yeah, because it's nation as they haven't done in the late 80s 90s. It really was nation building. It's that we got to build this solid foundation for the future, and if we continue to let it crumble, because all the knew what happened in that during that epidemic, like I was talking about, sexual revolution, all type of other things, the replacement of the black man in the home, all this other stuff, like it killed it hurt us
Uh,
deeply,
uh,
extremely.
Why do you think that conservatism is going to help? You said something about less government. I didn't even understand that part.
yeah, yeah.
You said
Well,
less
one, because
government interaction, or basically like we would have
yeah,
more control over our own issues and solving them than relying
yeah.
on the government to do so.
Yeah, well, because that's one of the fundamental principles is that again is like conservatism is there's a view of the individual as essentially the master of his own destiny, and so part of the with the other side there's an overemphasis on the government to fix the problems and stuff, right? And so um, there's the only way and this just is just as a side note, the only way to give the government any power, if power is a zero sum game, right? The government can only get power by taking power from some other area, and so yes, usually us giving up power to something, and sometimes it's the power to our own money. So there's that, but the fundamental idea that's behind that is basically just to say that um, that the accountability has to be with you, the individual. Liberalism, on the other hand, says that it's the government's responsibility to fix this. Conservatism says it's my responsibility to fix this. And it different outcomes come as a result of that, because one side is going to say, well, let's say, hey, well, my income is lower, right? Um, my income is lower. Lots of modern liberals right now are arguing for universal basic income. They're arguing for higher taxes for this group of people over here, so that way money can be redistributed. But there's never a call of the individual upward. Conservatism says if that's what you want, right, then do the necessary activities to warrant higher pay and higher income.
Dre, I got a question that though.
Yes, sir.
So, and I guess this goes into kind of the caveat. I'm sorry, of where black conservatism and black liberalism comes in,
Hmm.
only because we have when I look at it historically, we have a unique kind of relationship with the government in that, in some cases, in many cases, we don't trust it. We don't want it to be involved in what we
Right.
deal with. But in other cases, we have used it as a tool
Hmm.
to correct the means of society, as you and I talked about, like with
Yeah.
the whole Reconstruction era. Legally, I don't know if that's necessarily,
Yeah.
as we say, we don't know if that was within the realms of the federal government to do. But if you're looking at it from like our standpoint,
Yeah.
we kind of like, yeah, we did that because these people were gonna get right and do right and kind of fix this stuff, and we flourished under Reconstruction. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, we have a weird relationship with the government
Yeah.
as a whole. But
Yeah. So on that note, because one of the questions is how concerned are we with outcomes? There was a paper that was published some years back, but it's 50 years since the war on poverty. Because like when we think about the government intervention, this is one of the main driving points of why it is that the liberal ideology didn't work, because it ignores the human need, and the sort of things that actually motivate us. We are not motivated by people giving us things for free. That doesn't actually work. The only thing that we know that does is it just creates people who for suddenly have a greater need, and then they not only need that, but they need more stuff than what they've gotten before. And I mean, the examples run the gamut. So it's not just black folks. I mean, you can just look at old people and stuff like that as a whole, like with the whole Social Security conversation. I mean, you name it. You start giving out free stuff, right? If you give a mouse a cookie, like that whole thesis right there, it explains the human idea with just receiving free things. So the result of lots of those sorts of government interventions was the erasure of Black innovation and Black progress. And so progress slowed factually as a result of lots of the social programs, stuff like that they threw out there. Especially because like oftentimes you would have them like without any sort of without any limits, with no term limits, things. And if you could live like that for life, I mean, if you grew up where I grew up, and everybody, you know what I'm saying, who came up anywhere around anybody hood, you know what I'm going to say. The following is going to be factual. You know, people who have, if they've been on government assistance, they do things like say, well, I don't want to work more hours because they're going to cut my check. Section 8 sign up in my hood was a holiday. Everybody knew when Section 8s were when Section 8 signups were. That was just a thing. But you can see the same sort of phenomenon, even if you look at the Nordic states, right? When it comes to looking at them and them paying for college, on average, it's going to take the people over there longer to graduate college. Why is it going to take them longer to graduate college? Because they're giving a stipend for attending college, and they don't have that sort of limit. So it may take them 2 to 3 times longer to graduate college because they're taking longer and they're taking advantage of the financial incentives to be there. So what we're doing is, in that sense, there comes a time when you start incentivizing laziness. You're giving people reasons not to get off of the assistance. So, for example, Bill Clinton with his, I think it was either 94 or 96. I think it's 96. But when he was introducing welfare reform, he put term limits on. He put term limits on how long you can be on welfare. And I think it was something like 5 years. I remember being a kid at that time. I remember being with my mom at the welfare office when they first put the term limits in. And I remember she was losing her mind. My mother's been on welfare I'm 36. My mother's been on welfare for 37 years now. It's, you know, she doesn't want to stop. And that's not just my anecdote. Like the data shows that Black progress was slowed because we have other alternatives. And so it's the recognition as well that hard situations usually force you to do something. All right. And it's that old Frederick Douglass conversation of what shall we do with the Negro? And he says, I'm telling you to do nothing with them. You know what I'm saying? He goes on to tell him, you know, that meddling with us has already interrupted us. He was like, and so instead of trying to affix the apple to the tree, if we're going to fall, just let us fall. And so well before there was even introduction of the welfare state, anything like that, when they were asking the Negro question and whether or not they should give us all of these things, you know, one of the answers, and I make reference to this in the presentation and in my larger paper, is that there's a recognition that that in those sorts of hard times, we usually go and we figure out solutions. And we know this with anybody. If you got somebody that you consistently loan money to who's bad with money, right? If they know that you have it, right, they don't have much incentive to keep it on their own. If they get into some funk, they know that they can just come right over to you, and we become their welfare system.
As a matter of fact, they plan on it. Well,
exactly.
If it don't work, you know, I just go add.
Exactly. And so it's the recognition of that mindset being like integral in the human condition. And so if you push people, if you start pushing people all these programs for whatever reason, and there's all sorts of data to show this, but as people had to come off of the programs because of term limits, things and then Obama removed the term limits when he came into office. And as Trump reintroduced the term limits to things like Section 8 housing and welfare and stuff, people are like, oh my God, like he's trying to kill all the poor people. When in reality, the thing that's killing the poor people is us having them sit there. It's like, that's why you'll also see a correlation of not just their inactivity, but also like numerous health issues, stuff like that end up following them being on there, you know, because there's just a general lack of activity.
The elderly.
Well, now you ready for something harsh?
Oh my God!
So,
Leandre,
okay,
the elderly, they're not working.
No, the elderly should be working. So the thing is, I don't know why the elderly should not be working. I have no idea why. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then two, the social.
He's still young.
No. Listen, I mean, just like generally speaking, in human history, the elderly they usually continue working.
And it's
one of
grandma can't move. She like 85, not somewhere
Well,
there in the
well. See,
90s.
but yeah, see, but
She
that's
really
not as a
little.
result.
She's
But
frail.
that's not as a result of being elderly. She has like medical conditions stuff like that in it, right? In which case, maybe
That's
there's still room to
a
talk about
girl
some social
over
programs.
age.
Well, but no, it's so those. So she may have ailments that came from her living a long time, but it's not just being elderly. Social Security itself is a very recent program, like a 100-year-old program that is financially unsustainable. Social Security releases they release a report every year saying that they're going to run out of money because there's in the baby boomer generation, right? Because of the baby boom, we have more elderly stuff that we're paying for than people working, and so it's an unsustainable program. And even with the next generation, it'll be an unsustainable
If
program.
I may.
Uh-huh.
So two things. One, what's your opinion on someone like myself who would, and I recently came to this conclusion because I think black people, by and large, are just more conservative by nature, but I think I'm more of a moderate.
Mhm.
But what's your position on those who hold that position of being a moderate from a political standpoint? And
Um,
two, when you talk about the like Social Security being financially
Unsustainable.
unsustainable,
hmm
do you think it would be more sustainable if we pulled out of funding so many foreign nations?
Well, no, I don't. Funding foreign nations, there's a phenomenon in econ called the multiplier effect, and so oftentimes when we give to other nations, we make money back. We make money back for numerous. So it's this. It basically think of the United States as a bank and people who are receiving foreign aid as being borrowers. So generally speaking, not in every single case. There's certain cases where we have other reasons for doing so. Like for example, like with respect to Israel, oftentimes we don't make that multiplier effect off the stuff, but we stay there for older reasons because we check other powers, and so that lots of that stuff that's national security related and so we don't mind in that respect the foreign aid going there because we're trying to check certain powers there, largely the state of Iran. But so no, the foreign aid programs, and then even with the foreign aid programs and stuff like that, it pales in comparison. The single largest line item is going to be social programs for the United States budgets. The single largest line item. Um, we spend so much money on various social programs that come through in multiple ways, things we may not even be thinking of as social welfare programs, but they are. Um, and so no, that sort of thing. One, it generally makes us money. Two, it wouldn't put a dent in it. Now, the as far as the moderate question, yeah, I think that any position that basically says, well, let me just take a nuanced look at things. Let me look at this from a couple different angles and perspectives, and hey, let me decide on a case by case basis because that's the way I think a lot of moderates do it. Now, lots of moderates I think are liberals with identity issues. They just don't want to be called a liberal. But yeah, but there's a lot of them as well who I think are like, well, let me just look each time, and then I'll see. Um, yeah, so on that, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED talk.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I just encourage all the men with wives go down on them.
Yeah, because now I do want to know why it was a sexual revolution to begin
So
with.
I got a question for Leandre.
White women.
But
White women. Hey,
Um,
you know what's funny? In the ancient Roman Empire, they would look down on any man who went down on his girl.
yeah,
They consider that you being penetrated, and so they was.
No, though.
Well,
So just
because
white women.
if it ever came up, like if a woman said that you did something like that, like you wanted to talk about something that
I thought they didn't
that would
talk
like
about
ruin
those
your
kind of
reputation as a
things
man.
back then.
No. They did talk about like you had people like talk about their opponents like, oh, he went down on his wife, like that kind of stuff will come out. Like if they heard about it, what they wouldn't do in the Roman Empire, by and large, especially after being introduced to Stoicism, they wouldn't do public displays of affection. But no, yeah, if they found out that, I'm saying, that you were air quote penetrated by your wife in the mouth, they was like, oh no, this nigga right here is a weirdo.
Interesting,
And,
but
and
they
it,
can sleep
it's
with each
not.
other. Men would sleep with men and not think that's weird.
Yep, that's true. That's you got it
Yeah,
right.
they was like butt backwards, no pun intended. But it's weird because when I remember growing up and cats used to talk. I'm talking about in the hood, used to talk the same way, and you'd be like, I'm as a young cat who was more managed than I should have been, and was watching things I shouldn't watch. I'm like, that ain't what that. It don't sound
Hey,
like nothing
friggin'
wrong with that.
So
Zakari, you dumb.
I got a question though,
Goddamn woman.
DeAndre.
Yes, ma'am.
I've heard this conversation before, not quite as eloquently as you put it,
Damn
but
right. I appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Nigga.
I hear this conversation because I've seen some of those videos where they interview the women and they say they don't need a man, blah blah blah. What would be the incentive if I had a provider in my home to take money from the government?
Well, one, you don't have to put up with. I think there was a number of incentives, but one of the ones is you just ain't got to put up. You just ain't got to put up with with the with the dude. You can run things by yourself. You ain't got to worry about being told nothing to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think part of it is the idea that that I don't have to listen. I don't have to answer nobody.
You don't think there was like unhappiness and abuse and things like that
Well, there
going
certainly were,
on?
there certainly were some instances of abuse, but by and large, no. Like I said, the unhappiness aspect. That's why I said happiness. Like we prioritize happiness right now in the modern era in astronomical ways. Whereas again, lots of the times marriages and a companionship will be more strategic. Um,
Right.
so yeah, so you can definitely throw in happiness in there. Yeah, and like I said, the problem is that and it's gonna sound radical to a lot of y'all modern women, so just buckle up. Y'all ready?
You buckle up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
no.
buckle up.
Hey, brothers, y'all get ready. Form a wall. Okay,
Form a wall.
form a
You
wall.
gonna tower over it? The fuck?
Brothers, defend Leandre at all costs. Defend
um,
Leandre at all costs.
the thing is that our individual happiness, especially like when you're talking about having a family and kids, stuff like that involved, your individual happiness, even in a relationship, should not be the number one priority. There's an entire generation, and in like right now, we see the effects of it. And so that is a more hyper individualistic American, a modern American
I don't know.
sort of outlook on things. But I mean, think about it.
White people, just say white people,
Yeah,
man.
okay, all right, okay,
God.
let white people teach you all this shit. But listen, okay, now,
Hey,
now,
Leandre, ain't you kind of white though? Never mind.
no,
I'm just messing with
no, hell no. Now listen,
you.
but
Listen,
look,
No
but
light
look, but look,
skin
like
slander.
you make an excellent point, and I'm gonna tell you why, and then I'm gonna listen. Me and my wife been married 28 years, and she hit me with something when we was almost going our separate ways a few years ago. Byron remember this time, by the way. Matter of fact, Leandre, you probably do too. She told me, because I'm like, if you ain't happy, I'm hitting her with the, if you ain't happy, let's just do what we gotta do, go our separate ways. She's like, you think I always been happy with you? I made a commitment to you. I ain't always been in love with you. You think when you was running around acting like a single man while you was married to me, I was in love with you? I made a commitment to you. And I was just gonna say, I think the commitment and other things that sort of supersede being head over heels in love then got replaced
yeah.
with I got you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I
No,
you
no,
understand
no,
what I'm saying?
no. Yeah, that's exactly what the point is. We have in that right there. It's us being hyper individualistic, and because we're saying I want to be happy, and even though like if you look at the stats of what happens to kids who come from sort of broken homes, like rates of suicide way in the hell up, right? Like literacy rates go way in the hell down, right? Their math rates way in the hell down, right? Their general unhappiness, depression, ADHD, all this
Because
kind of
their
stuff.
parent
This
doesn't
this
have time.
No. It's not. It's not just because their parents don't have time, but it's dealing with the breakup and the splitting in and of itself causes issues. Seeing your mother here's another thing. Seeing your mother with multiple partners negatively affects the kids, and even bringing niggas around and saying like, this is my friend. The fact that if for lots of the women who exposed their children to multiple partners, their kids ended up having all sorts of crazy outcomes in life. And so there's when you could have just stayed there with their daddy. And again, and I get it, there's like, well, I was unhappy. And like I said, happiness becomes a priority even over the outcomes that affect the children. And it's like lots of women, even if you tell them these
I
sorts
don't
of
know about
outcomes,
that.
listen,
I
I'm
understand
So
the
you're
listen, I'm
I
trying
saying
to tell
that
you.
if
understand
you
what you're
saying
saying, but it's a difference between being unhappy because, like, damn, I'm just like falling out of love with this person. Like that's kind of different than
right,
the person not
yeah,
doing the person being a liability in your household.
Yeah. So let me ask
yeah.
you a question. Which sort of unhappiness would be a good reason to have your kid commit suicide because of a lifelong depression that they've had that goes back to the fact that they had to deal with like a
The
breakup or
person being a
divorce.
liability in their household, because that
Well, no,
person
well,
also could be
reliability.
we don't know what
Well,
else
that's
that person
overbroad.
can do either, right?
Well, I'm
Right.
saying generally speaking, that's not that's not the reason for the splits. That can't be the reason for the splits of 70%, because that's where the rates were set at one point in time, where 70% of where 70% of kids, they were born like out of wedlock, or their parents went through some divorce or some split, something like that. That generally wasn't the case. So we don't want to just appeal to the extremes. We want to try to
But if
explain
they're
the
already
body of the
born
data.
out of wedlock, right? Like
Well,
where
like I said,
they
but well, I mentioned multiple things
right, but I'm saying I
because
don't think that like because experiencing a breakup, I really wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that, because that's not I just would never understand that because I don't know. I've suffered a lot of loss, right? I've had, I lived in a foster home with a bunch of people
yeah,
who I had
and you were
foster
like
siblings.
me,
No, I
and you're
had
like me,
foster
and we
siblings that
tore up.
came and left, right? So they came and
Hmm.
left, came and left, came and left. So I've suffered loss. So it I can't resonate with somebody else, that would break them to the point of like not having any existence.
Well,
So
the
that's why
thing
I
is,
don't understand. So like I'm just saying my understanding of that. I just don't know. I can't say right or wrong, right? But I do understand the whole thing, but sometimes it's a detriment to be in the household with people with somebody. It's more of a
well,
detriment to be there than to not.
like I said, if you're gonna say sometimes, okay, that's fine because some could be, but generally speaking, that wasn't the case. Generally speaking, that's generally speaking that's just it's not the case. And like I said, the outcomes for the kids, when they have to experience these things, they have there's all sorts of drastic outcomes for them in their lives from having to live through and experience this stuff. And so again, whatever reason the woman says like I'm unhappy, right? As long as she's okay with what's going to happen to the kids as a result, hey, more power to you. But like I said, it's just the thing that in the moves, especially during a time period where everyone's moving, sort of away, and the families are being split up and separated for one reason or another. I'm just arguing that the thing that seems to be least considered was the outcome for the kids, and the data shows that it wasn't a good outcome.
Yeah, I
Numerous
also
other people
think that
groups.
people don't think about their children when they're getting with somebody. Like for my first, well, my husband, I'll never get married again. But with him, he when I got with him, I was not. It wasn't put into my head by anybody, right? To think about
The
children,
kid.
what would happen. Yeah, like his background, his like so your family background is like XYZ and it's gonna be da 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 da. It was just that I was so and there I was so in love. We were so cool. We was having all of
and
this.
being and being fast
I could see
and being
no, I
fast
could see the rest of my life with him. That's why I married him.
and being fast.
Right? How am I being fast? I can't be fast at
You're being fast.
25. I know what I feel like I know what I want right here, right? I feel like I went to school, I done did this, I've been on my own. I feel like I know what I want here and that, he's doing that. But then once you sign that man like flipped out, he felt like, yeah, I own you now. We done signed these papers, that's just that. You know what I'm saying? We had children and it was like, he I used to be like, be like the father that you see on TV. Like, I don't know what you like. Yeah, it was like he wasn't. It, I don't know. He wasn't there. He wasn't that. You know what I'm saying? Then it began to be fighting. And then it was like, well, now I want you to not make more than me. but you don't have the same education that I have, so I can't. What do you want to do, right? So now it's that. Then we had all these different issues, right? Then we're
Honey,
actually
quick question. Why you
fighting,
saying that your
huh?
ex-husband did he come from a two-parent household as well?
Yeah,
Just wondering. He did?
yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to know. I didn't know. I
But
just
his
wondered.
dad was crazy as hell too. But his mama was just like, that's just how it is. I didn't know until I started having problems with him, and then she tells me now the problems that was in the household of him growing up. Right. So now when
Yeah,
we
that
have
was gonna be
domestic
my
violence
next question.
issues, now when we have all of these issues, it's like, oh, well, that's just how men are. Oh, well, that's just this, that, and the other. Well, if my daughter doesn't feel safe enough for me to give him a hug without her feeling like she needs to stand between, you gotta go. You
Well, like I
understand what I'm
said,
saying? This is bad. So it's like,
And this is why
but
we
but
need iron
I'm
and
not
shame culture
blaming.
back.
I can't blame him. I'm not blaming this. What I'm blaming is the fact that I didn't look for that when I was going into this. I didn't look for, would this be a good person going forward in the future as far as a family
How to
man,
vet.
as far as I didn't see that. I
Yeah.
wasn't looking at that. I was looking at, I like him, we doing good right now. Yeah, we gonna build, we gonna do this, we gonna do that. I didn't have
yeah,
the wherewithal to look for that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
we're
you
yeah,
not
got
raised
yeah.
I
we're
was
not
gonna ask
raised
the
like
Yeah,
that.
you
question.
got bad taste. We hear you, honey. Go ahead.
shut
Honey,
up,
we need
nigga.
No,
two
but you
things
gotta
back in our
understand.
community.
Y'all
We
have to
need
understand something. We're not raised as and think about those things.
That's what
Well,
I'm
no,
telling
what
y'all.
my
what
mom put in
I
me
agree
We're
was
with you,
not.
but
education,
that
right? So it was like,
see what
you're
I
Yeah.
smart,
would
you
say
got your
our culture
degree, you
miss
do this, you do that.
we
Put in me
we
not
missed
that
out
whole family
we missed out on
piece.
two key points in our culture. One, communal, we lost that, and two, the honor shame society of our culture.
Mhm.
So essentially, if you're in the community, right, and in the honor shame society, and you are a man not handling your stuff as a man, and domestic violence,
Boo
beating
this
women, stuff
man.
like that. This nigga gets told to the community. Guess who get to handle it? All the and sometimes sisters come bring this nigga out to the middle of the street, and he get a good old fashioned ass whooping. Like this
But
Listen,
that's
never,
not happening.
I
it's
know
never.
that's what he's saying we missing.
Yeah,
No,
that's
So
We
my
so
miss it.
that's what I
we
was
doing
that's
it.
what I
perspective.
was
We
gonna
whooping
get
their
at.
ass.
I was gonna say that, I
I got a
say
question after she goes.
That's
Honey,
a
I just want
good.
to tell you, you
I
remind me
just
of the singer Anaya. I just wanted to just let you know. I don't know if anybody ever told you that, but that's what you remind me of.
No, I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Anaya? Oh, hold on. Let me put you on to something on Hood. Oh, let me see this. Where you two at?
but where does mental health come in that
Oh,
in
now she gonna
these
call us retarded. All
conversations?
right.
What? No,
Nah.
I'm not calling you retarded. I'm just saying that, a two-parent household is great and wonderful. You know what I'm saying?
You just
But
think we
where does
generally got? You think we generally crazy? Okay, I see what you're saying.
we have trauma
Oh, you know what?
from
You know
years
what?
and years of oppression, but that's another conversation.
But
I
I don't know.
no. Listen,
Who
we gonna fight about this.
who
Bring
was
that
it that
nigga in the
said they
middle of the
had a
street and beat
divorce?
his ass.
Oh wait, I know her. She made Yvette, right?
I
The
don't know what
That's
that
song.
is.
what I said.
Who was it? Who was the
Ooh.
sister that said she had like a former husband? I had one question.
That's honey.
What's
That's
up?
honey.
Yeah, yeah,
Honey,
yeah, yeah. Look like that is.
honey, did you do premarital counseling before you guys got married?
Yeah, my pastor. Remember, I used to be in church. He makes
Listen,
everybody do that. So yeah, we did. But he's a good
I just want
actor.
to say that. I just want to say that with this the state of let me say I ain't even gonna get my frustration about this now because like conceptually I like that idea of premarital counseling especially like with with your leader I just feel like the leader also they got to know enough to do it and I'm gonna just
Thank
tell you
you.
I'd be disappointed.
Thank
That's
you.
Right.
that's what I was gonna
Thank
say.
you.
I
You
feel
I'd be
got the
like,
blind.
disappointed.
You got the blind trying to blind.
Hey man,
yeah,
listen, man. I didn't seen it and heard some stuff about some pairs and stuff like that some matches that have been approved, and I'm like, your pastor was cool with this. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, listen, man, you might want to find you a new church baby because I don't know what the hell going on over there.
it's a
He would
lot
have
of
been because
things
he knew
that
how to put a face on. He knew how to do that.
But
Anyways,
though,
Now,
listen though, like
was he a member
it's
at the
crazy because
church?
in
in
the
the
old school
choir.
like honor shame society as well too. Your father, if your father finds out that the man that he gave his daughter to is doing these things outside of
Mike,
what
it's
you're
gonna be a
spouses,
misunderstanding. It's smoke in the
that
city,
Yep.
boy.
that
Oh
nigga
yeah,
pulling
because
up
when he
and
definitely
beating
did that.
ass. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's that. So all of that goes into the same. Like for me, all that goes one hand to into each other. We lack our honor sharing society. We also lack our communal society. So a lot of these things, like you, you have no shame. It's like, well, this nigga acting a fool. Like, did you bring him to the community? Well, no. Nah, bring that nigga to the community. What he did? What he said? Oh
But
no,
a
he
lot
did a
of
good old
times you
fashioned.
don't even want to do that, like, cause you know when you go out on your own and stuff, and it's like, you know, you got to try to make this work, and you're trying to do that, and you don't want your parents to look at it like you chose
because we live in that
this for,
hyper
like, you know,
individualism.
you chose
Hey,
the wrong person, you chose this, and you know that they're going to be, and you know it's going to be some issues, and they're going to be
hey,
on your ass.
Byron, you hit it again.
Yep.
You hit it. You hit it
Yep.
again. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Like, look, like,
That is the that's why I say blame the whites. That's the hyper individualistic society. We don't come from that. Like our culture doesn't come from that. And, you know, like yes,
our people is
yes,
in your business, and they
we
want to
gonna
know.
shame
Yeah,
you.
they
We
are.
gonna talk about you,
That
but
is
we
so
gonna love
weird.
you. You know, we gonna like you come home like, oh mama, I went out to the I tried to work it on my own. Damn, I tried to make it on my own. You know, it didn't work out. I'm like, look at you. You thought you dumbass. You thought you was gonna make it. Now come on here, get
Come
your
on
stuff.
Hey,
in, right? Come
Come
on
on,
in
come
here,
on
hey,
in this
bring it
house.
on in.
hey,
Come on in
hey,
here.
Huh?
honey, listen. You know, so you remember, remember the Betty Wright song when she said it used to be, you know what I'm saying, like if people thought she was on the verge of breaking up, you know, they throw a little cookout. You know what I'm saying? Like again, like it used to be like, nah, come on, listen, we gonna figure this thing out. We're gonna work this thing out. It was a community kind of thing. It's a community kind of thing. But you wanted to be fast and run off and do stuff on your own.
No, because then you got
Leave them
people in
white
your
people.
community
Leave them
that's
white
fucked
people
up.
alone.
Everybody in your community ain't on the same page.
That's true, but it's when you in that society though,
Because I
it's
would be one of
it's
them
a
people now,
natural
right? Because
checks and balances.
I'm not a Christian, so like my family, shame, right? Because
They know you being fast now.
they got. Well, they don't give a damn. I'm me, right? At the end of the day, I did what I was supposed to do and shit, but they have, you know, I got pastors and all kinds of shit in my family, but it is what it is. It's just I'm different. Yeah, well, of course I am. I'm adopted. That goes with that. But you know, family is always, it's not always, you know. Sometimes it's the people
I
who
mean,
you grow up around, who you make, right? You can make a community, make a family too.
but I think all that going back to originally, even talking about like the success rates of our kids, the work ethic and all that. Like we miss that aspect. Can we live in a society now that you can't tell my child nothing? The
Yeah,
neighbor can tell
yeah.
your child nothing. The grandma, the auntie, that ain't my child. That's your child. Like, nah, see, nah, we ain't used to be like that. Like that wasn't our community. So when we, it's kind of like one of the things when you pull one thread, like all the other
Yeah.
threads begin to unfold and stuff like that.
Hey,
So now you don't have
listen,
this, now you
listen.
don't have that.
Hey, that's why I said it started with the loss of position of the nuclear traditional family. When that stuff went, all sorts of other things just went along with it.
Well, I do agree with that, because that's one of the things that I talk about with men and women now. Is the fact of like single moms, right? When you
Or why you didn't stay with Joshua then? Let's talk about that.
oh, oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, let's
Damn,
put
left
it on the
turn,
table. Let's
That
put
was
it on the
left
crazy.
table.
left
Let's put it
turn
on the table.
180.
Let's put it
I
on the
don't
table.
I don't even
The
like
record
him.
just
I'm
stopped.
about to kick him out.
Who just hit the DJ table?
Can I have his
Right?
bar bus first?
I'm so confused.
And then from House Party 2, like, quit hitting the goddamn DJ booth, nigga.
The fuck? No, I'm saying when you have a
DeAndre is hell.
because single parent
And
has
she didn't think
become
I know about that. She didn't think I knew about that one.
oh my God, I can't stand him.
He is
I'm
the
putting
Slim
cases
Reaper.
on all of y'all, boy.
I'm
Slim Reaper.
looking. I'm so glad my camera on. So the point
Put
is,
cases on who?
Everybody back here, the whole bar.
what? The,
I
the
feel
point
attacked.
is, you don't know about
Uh,
yours yet.
uh,
Gotta be quiet.
uh,
We kept it under wraps.
no. Listen, I've been putting case. Boy, let me tell you something. I was finna be because y'all trying to put me in court. I'm Nino Brown, and at the end, if I lose, I'm just letting y'all know.
But the point is that when you have, you know, baby mom and baby dad right now in our culture has become a like that's like a like husband wife, right? They actually
Yeah,
make it like boyfriend girlfriend, baby
yeah.
mom, baby dad. I feel like that's so
My
horrible.
brother and his baby mama call each other baby mama and baby dad. Them niggas they said to each other.
Yeah, I
That's
feel like that's a horrible thing. I feel like that's a culture too that needs to go away
well,
because
blame Fantasia for that damn song. When you gonna do that?
no, our baby mama and baby daddy came out before that. But I'm saying that's one thing too, because they looking like I'm gonna be the baby mom. That means that I have this like this position in his life forever versus being his wife and having that position in his life forever. Right? It's like you're not really having that position in his life forever as a baby mama. You're not a that's not a placeholder. That's not nothing to be. Right. And the same thing as a baby father where they feel like they can put babies in these women and that now they have a they could just go house to house. It's polygamy. What no. Like like you have to do something here. Like this is not I think that culture is fucked up too. And then the fact that when you do have a single mom in a household, right? And let's say, because black women, we like to get our degrees, we like to do all our stuff. Okay, cool. And then you try
You
to get
got your
somebody,
degree, and you know every fucking thing.
yeah, yeah.
Hey,
And so you get a man that's a higher level than what you're used to, right? Well, now you gotta when you're bringing him into your household, this is you ain't talking to him and treating him the way that you was these little niggas that you was just fucking on or whatever, right?
hey,
You
honey, I'm gonna
have to
say
have
this.
some respect. You have to do all of that, and so it's different for us. It's different.
This black women fault. You don't know why? Some of y'all be look as niggas that I grew up in down here. Some of y'all be looking too damn good when niggas is young. They're like, man, let me go ahead and put this baby in her now.
Mm.
So one, I can make sure that I can always double back. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be 5
Really
years, 6
young.
years. Because once you
Hey, hey,
once you
Byron,
baby daddy, you
I
can
done
always
eyed
pull
her.
back up,
Hey,
huh?
Byron, in my youngest, boy, I done eyed a few. Was like, boy, I need to keep that one. I might want to spend a block on that a little later.
That's
Boy,
what I'm saying.
hey,
That's a
listen,
guarantee. I don't know what happened. Like, hey man,
throw these condoms out the window, boy. Yeah, come, listen.
I can have your baby. I can force you. Yeah, you say that. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
You
yeah. You
want the
say that?
baby?
Yeah. That's what you think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You
Like,
burn
wait,
all the
you
sage you
seen
want
it?
to,
Like,
baby.
oh. And look, and niggas in the hood would be like, man, what happened? Then they see them. Oh, I understand, bro. I understand.
Hey, Byron. Hey,
I
Byron. Look, I
understand.
swear, my auntie was with this nigga who was from out of Shreveport, and this nigga, and I swear, and his mama Miss Ida, boy, listen, that lady, boy, the chitlins she cooked, boy, and the chicken and rice used to be just phenomenal. I used to go to the house every day. Miss Ida would make the chicken and rice, but I remember her son Stevie, who my auntie was with. He saw my brother, nice baddie, right? She was real bad girl. She was nurse in school, very pretty girl. And and I remember the advice he was given by the OG from Shreveport. He said, "Man, you need to put a baby in that one, man. You want to keep that one, put a baby in her."
I'm telling you, I've been around. See all that thirst trapping y'all women was doing earlier today. All that shit. Listen, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell
Yeah,
y'all
y'all know what
something.
y'all was doing. We
It
was over
was
here.
Let me tell
it
y'all
was
something.
it's the fact that y'all said
The,
face shots was thirst trapping. Are you
let me
kidding?
tell y'all.
Well,
Let me tell you something. The niggas I grew up with,
That
they
don't
see
even make
that
no
like, oh
damn
shit. Let
sense.
me
Like I
go.
said, we had full bodies. We was out here laying
hey,
out
hey,
clean.
hey, 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 put a burqa on then if you don't like it.
Listen,
We said what we
You
said.
sound crazy.
That
listen.
is crazy.
We are old enough to know we can tell by the face the way how everything gonna play out
You
at this point in
don't.
time. Like we can kind of see, like, more
That's
likely this gonna
horrible.
play out this way and play out that way.
That,
I'm just saying,
That's crazy.
niggas
that
logic
is
won't
They
let
can
real
them.
have a
insane.
crazy
Hey, you can
brain
call it what you
inside
want
that
to.
pretty
You can
face.
call it what you
Really
want to.
insane. Hell yeah, because y'all that's how y'all end up with these crazy people. It be
Right.
always the dudes who have that shit together that got the baby mama that don't, right? And
All
Tell
vice
you
me
gotta
about
do
it.
versa.
look at
Tell
and
me.
you gotta do is look at it. Go look
And
at it
vice versa.
back when he dropped it off. Go back and look at she was looking at. I understand. Like why you was with her, man? Go see. Oh man, I understand, dog.
Hey,
I get
listen.
it. I get it.
Y'all
I
I'm
do
get it.
ready to
not get
tell.
it's so crazy that you just really sitting here trying to excuse y'all's bad decisions.
Hey,
Right.
Yeah, bad
I ain't say
decision
it
And
makers.
blame
at
it on
all.
women.
Blame it
hey,
on
I
bad
ain't say
yeah.
decisions.
And
Bad
blame it on
decisions
you
are made
just
for good
looking the way
reasons.
that you was born
Yeah, that
looking.
was a
Like what?
calculated decision.
Yeah, what are you talking
yeah.
about? That was a good reason for that. What you talking about?
No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. And then you
Hey,
blame
man.
it on somebody just being who they are.
Hey, you know all the good job nephews I got pulling up to the spot with, you know what I'm saying, with old girl? Hey, nephew. And that little nod,
Hey, I
yeah.
see you. I see you.
I see
I
you,
see you.
nephew.
I see
Yeah,
you. You
yeah.
know how
You
I
already
do.
know, huh? You already know.
There is something wrong with these people.
Hey, y'all call it what you want to, baby. I'm just
Men.
telling you for
I
They're
call
real.
them bad
men.
decision
That's what's
makers.
wrong with them. They think with their penises first.
You call it what you want to, baby.
Right, but then when I
Uh,
just sat here and said that, that's that I was thinking with my heart. It was his shit.
Yeah, don't nobody care about your heart.
Yeah,
That's not what we talking about.
Yeah.
I don't need your heart. I'm
I
Yeah,
good.
ain't
you
saying
don't need
the
that.
man looked
I
good,
go.
so I got
I,
with him.
as a nigga, we don't care about. I don't care about that. I don't need your heart.
No, no.
Matter of fact, you
So
leave your
what
heart
do
at the
y'all think
door.
about
Until y'all
nowadays?
feelings get hurt.
No, yeah, I was about to say what y'all
Yeah,
think
that's
about
fine.
nowadays when y'all niggas are the ones that's so sassy. Like y'all are the ones in your feelings. Well, I won't say y'all, but it's an
Nah.
influx
Ooh,
of men right
Oh, honey,
now.
I can't wait to get into this.
I can't speak to them niggas. I don't know what to tell you.
Influx of men right now that are just feminine in their feelings. Like what's
Well,
up?
see
We call
now,
that pain.
hey, hey, let me just tell you something, right? So there's a oh, Byron, I don't know if you saw when Dr. Byron Reese when he posted stuff about this, right?
Yeah.
And he was talking about the phenomenon. He posted a psychology article, psychology day article about this, but then and he posted his, his of course his expert opinion on the topic. And he was talking about there's a right, men are becoming more expressive than they've ever been and stuff in life, and it's like, and women are exhausted having to deal with the same sort of emotional luggage that and so they're like, lots of women actually leaving the men right now because they actually don't care about the man's feelings whatsoever. And so now at a time, like if men are being more expressive with their feelings, they're just being called sassy and they're being left. So, but the whole time, like niggas had feelings, just they just weren't saying nothing prior to. But
No, it's
yeah,
the way that you
It's the
convey
way
your
that you
feelings.
express your
Yeah,
feelings.
like
nah,
I got,
see,
Right?
I got a question.
Huh?
Is there a direct one-to-one correlation between like what they say like sassy men these days and like men that weren't raised with a father in the home?
well, that's a good question, ladies.
I don't think
I
so.
don't know.
Because those men, the men who we are saying are sassy, to me, it's from the internet. Yeah. Because when men used to get hurt, like y'all used to get your feelings hurt before, right? You go around your homeboys like, yeah, man, that's fucked up. She shouldn't have did that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You get big ups, man. Come
Pause.
on, let's go drink. Let's go do whatever the fuck. Y'all go do
Pause.
man shit.
I'm a, I'm a,
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm a,
You,
I'm a, I'm
Yeah,
a, I'm
you're
a,
not
I'm a pause on
doing
that, honey.
we
You
were
know
going to
why?
two man.
The most famous song all time is by the great Lenny Williams. That nigga was on that phone, on that song,
Crying.
or about
Called his
20 something. What
homeboy.
you mean? And y'all just was like, look at him, that man was
right,
hurt.
but you see, he was hurt,
That's
but
Oh,
a
he
lie.
called his
That's the greatest
homeboy.
love song of all time.
But my
You
thing
lying.
is
that,
that he called his homeboy up, right? He called his homeboy about it. He didn't go find the next bitch and start cussing her out because somebody didn't want him before. Like you
well,
call
well,
your homeboys, y'all talk to each other, y'all go do man shit, you build
yeah, we're going two
yourself
mans.
back up. Yeah, whatever the fuck
right.
you gotta do, go fuck another
on a mission.
person, do whatever
That's
to
how you
build
get over a
yourself back
breakup.
up. But you build
You get over
yourself
quick
back
too.
up. These men
Hell
have
yeah.
not built themselves back up. They stay there. They stay in the heartbroken state. They're staying down there. That's where they're sassy at. Because they haven't built their confidence back up. They're still crying. And every woman that they meet, they keep crying to her about women in the past instead of
This about
moving
Craig, ain't
forward.
it?
And yeah, I'm about to say this Craig. You're talking about Craig.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I
It
guess he
sound like
could be
Craig.
an incel, but no.
I'm just saying
Hey,
Craig
Byron.
anyway. I'm just saying
Hey,
it's Craig.
hey, Byron,
It's
Byron,
like
do you
they
remember us
blame
talking?
women for them not being able to
Hold on.
choose good.
Hey, Byron, do you remember us? Oh, he been out, but yeah, we was listening to this nigga Craig talk about like relationships and breaking. It was like, nigga, are you okay?
He
Because
be lying. He be giving you somebody else's story.
He was like, no, I mean, 'cause this is one female, right? And the stuff that he was saying was so petty and like weird. It's like, nigga, bro, you like, bro, you got a problem with women or something, bro? You gay? Like, what's all this stuff?
Oh shit.
It was like, Craig, man, it sounded like somebody like really hurt you, and you just can't shut the hell up about it.
but that's like a lot of men nowadays, and they feel like they able to just express this. My thing is this: I do not adhere to a lot of gender roles, but the man being the head, I adhere to that one. A man not fucking full on crying over his feelings, like short of a close person dying, right? It's some kind of trauma. Just crying in public over your feelings, actually crying and shit like that. No, you make us as a unit look soft as fuck. I don't like it. Men just being uncontrollably angry, like not knowing his power. I don't like that. Right.
Um,
So those are so when you're a grown ass man and you can't even date because you're crying, I can't respect you.
Hey, now listen. I had a whole argument with my boy's mom about this thing because I told the nigga say what I said. Listen, man, let me explain something to you. Like nobody cares about sitting around and crying, bro. I was like, listen, figure something out, suck it up. It's like find somebody that you can vent to. I said, you niggas can come talk to me. I was like, well, we're not sitting around doing no crying, bro. And their mom, she was like, well, the boys, they don't feel like. I said, listen, I don't give a damn what they feel like. I said, because when they get, what I'm saying, when it's work and stuff to be done. I'm saying that you become the man, the leader of your household. I said, like, nobody cares about my feelings right now. Like, everyone expects for things to just function. So no one stop and ask me how I feel about anything, and I don't have time to stop and cry because it means I can't get work done. So I'm like, yeah, them niggas just gonna have to learn to suck it up, and then they're gonna find outlets and avenues to get it out their system so that they're not, imploding. But yeah, like nigga, we're not sitting around doing a bunch of damn crying. Listen, I can't have certain conversations. My therapist, baby, see, I'm from the streets. We can't just be, you know what I mean?
But I'm saying having conversations with your woman is fine, right? In the household.
Nah, hell no.
I
You
just
don't do that
don't
either.
feel like it's
Don't
fine
you ever cry
outside
in
of
front of
it.
a woman? Hell no.
I
No,
didn't say
listen.
crying. I said
No,
talking about.
I don't care what. Listen, I don't care what it is. Listen, if I'm stressed
I
out,
didn't say cry.
I'm stressed out about
Don't
something.
cry alone
That's the
in the
last person I'm
shower.
talking to.
Why?
No.
Why is
Did,
that
No,
did,
the
did,
person
did,
that's?
did any of you ever watch This Is Us? The
Yeah.
show?
Yep.
Do you remember when Randall had anxiety issues, and the moment that him and Beth had an argument when she brought it up as a low blow, ruined. Like, oh,
Hey, look.
That's the end of that.
Hey, look.
I'm
That's what I'm saying.
shouldn't
Listen.
you be vetting
That's
your women enough for them to not do that? I'm like, what are we talking
no.
about?
Listen. That is it. Listen, it's very, very regular. But two, the other thing is that I'm not going to stress you out and make you think that I don't have it. So I'm not talking to you about it at all.
It's
Yeah.
disrespectful, yes, but if you don't talk to us about it, I'm saying it's disrespectful to bring up things between you two, like as a like a trump card, right? You should never.
Yeah, as y'all often do. But go ahead.
I don't do that because I respect the people I talk to. But
Lie again. Go ahead.
I respect the people I talk to. I don't have a
Lie again, but go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask Josh you. Don't worry about it.
But guess what? If I was doing that, then you could have just asked me, right?
No. Because you'll lie about it. That's what we.
Why would I lie about it?
Bro.
I could just say it right now, right? Because if I wanted to be disrespectful, I could do that. And I'm not even talking to him. I'm blocked from that nigga, and I still don't do it because I'm not gonna be that way. So my thing is this: when you are that's just disrespectful to try to have a trump card in any kind of relationship that you have respect for the other person, right? But on top of that, if I see that you're stressed, regardless if you tell me or not, it's gonna stress me out. It makes no sense.
Yeah, like I said, and so yeah, it just it ain't gonna happen. So
over some shit that I don't even know about.
Hey, y'all ever seen that thing where and this they took it from the little Cat Williams his club Shay interview, but it was like his girl was like, it's like, why don't you come talk to me? You're going through something. He said, why? You're part of the problem.
Right. So the problem can be fixed.
Nah, hell no.
Yes.
Y'all allergic to accountability. You know what? Never
That
mind.
makes no sense. Why would you date somebody allergic to accountability?
Because that's all that's out there. Because that's all that's out there.
Because I like women.
Y'all
That's
gotta
why.
vet more.
Yeah.
Oh no,
it's wild based about accountability.
Women has nothing to do with date.
You lie because it's a 1-to-1 correlation between being allergic to accountability and being female. That's just
that is a lie. That is sexist.
Yes.
Hey, you call it what you want to call it. But see, y'all right now, y'all don't want to take accountability. But I rest my case.
I rest my accountability.
Of course,
I
I'm
rest
not
my
taking
case.
accountability for your statement.
Case rested.
That's your.
Y'all hear me say case rested?
I don't
case
care.
rested.
I don't give a damn.
We don't care.
Case rested.
You can't bully us,
Case
Leandre.
rested.
The case. Listen.
Might be able to bully all these other people, but I'll fight you.
Your Honor, I said
hands and feet.
Your Honor, I said I rest my case, and they're still going.
This is not the court.
Well, they need to be.
Not only is it not the court, we don't give a damn. Who are you? Like it's just the
we in the bar right now. We about to start throwing chairs and tables and shit.
Are y'all saying women are not allergic to accountability? Like, that's
yes,
not
I'm saying that.
Wow.
That's not a gender trait.
Wow.
That is not a gender trait.
Hey, Byron, it's on display right now.
Oh man,
how is
it's on display right.
We are not accountable for your statement. What the fuck?
Right.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, I seen a perfect representation.
I knew he was gonna say something. Cord Darius.
Oh Lord, here comes Cord Darius.
It's a video. It's a video of a white chick. She was like, "When y'all say 100 women versus accountability, what do y'all mean?" And then you see a little Asian dude pop up, and it showed that the comments on her video are turned the fuck off.
Hey, hey.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Ha
Look,
ha ha.
yeah, they don't want an answer. Listen, look, like I said, it's fine. It's fine. I get it.
The crazy part is that I sat on here, right, and talked about the relationship I had and the state of it, and took full accountability.
No.
Right?
Now, what'd you say you was wrong about? What'd you say you were
Right?
wrong about?
And so you.
No, what'd you say you were wrong about?
About right or
Oh
wrong.
yeah,
It's
ooh.
about the
Honey,
thought.
what did you say you were wrong?
Honey, what'd you say you were wrong about in that conversation?
In that
Specifically. Yeah, specifically.
Not looking forward, not vetting the person properly, not looking forward into seeing like if he would be a good family man.
No, I mean,
I like
the relationship didn't work out. What did you do? What did you do wrong? That all you're saying is right now.
Telling you all the stuff that I did wrong.
No. So that's what I'm saying.
Because
in the relationship,
this is not his fault. This is not something that he did just because he didn't mess with me or we didn't do anything else. I can't put anything on him.
So you're saying you're only wrong
else.
is the fact that you picked somebody who was so wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
No, so like I said,
I didn't look forward. So therefore, what I came into, I'm putting somebody in a position that they're not asking to be in, right? I'm putting something on them that they're not ready for or whatever the fuck, because I'm on it for me. I'm looking at what I want, what I was about to get out of this, how this could work for me, how I could help him build this, how you want to do this so I could do that, right? And I wasn't looking at, well, what is he trying to do though? What does he want out of this? What is
he? You listening? Honey,
you
listen.
Gonna beat that case, honey. You not with that one. You that wasn't
honey, listen.
That's what I was.
What did you do wrong in a relationship?
I was looking at myself.
Honey, I know. Listen, what'd you do wrong in a relationship?
I just told you.
No. You saying see, this is what I be talking about.
Wow.
This why, honey, this is what I be talking about right here.
What was I supposed to have did wrong in a relationship?
This is what you say. I was selfish and inconsiderate of my partner, and I drove him away with my selfishness and attitude.
He was willing to still be here. He's
oh my
here
goodness
today. So what I'm saying is
you're making it worse, honey.
What I'm saying is that what I did is that I looked at me and I didn't consider. I wasn't looking at him. I wasn't looking at what he wanted and what his goals were. And I'm sitting here telling you that, and y'all can't even hear. When I'm saying I did this, I. No statement that I made was about somebody else. Every statement that I made was an I statement. Was it not?
So honey, I want you to do me a favor. Next time, honey, you like Kelly Price?
I made an I statement.
Honey, do you like Kelly Price?
Every statement I made an I statement?
No, see, listen.
Was it?
Yeah, they were I statements. They were I statements about like he was such a terrible person and I picked him.
Every statement I made was an I statement. Right? Every statement was I did this, I did that, I did the other. I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do the other. But then you're gonna say that that's not accountability.
Okay, I'm asking. It's not accountability, and I'm gonna tell you why. Like I said, you like Kelly Price?
Kelly Price, yeah.
Okay, so and I remember seeing this, and it was so spot on. But like, it's like the only song that I've ever heard like where like women take accountability. And so in her song, You Should Have Told Me, she's doing, she's able to do both, right? So in the song, she talked about all the things that she wasn't doing for her man, and then how as a result of that, then he acted a certain way because he wasn't getting what he's supposed to. I don't want to hear I picked the wrong person. That's not what we're talking about. I want you to tell me what you did wrong.
I said I didn't look.
Now, what did you do wrong in a relationship every day?
I didn't do nothing wrong in a relationship every day. Every day
I
got
there
up.
It is.
You want to hear my motherfucking daily routine? Because what I did
no accountability.
More on myself than I should have in a relationship. What I did was not deal with somebody else. Like, what the fuck?
And
getting kids together, going to work at the accounting firm, letting him he had to take the kids to the school because I had to be at work earlier than when the school started, right? Because they were little kids, right? But then he was chilling, right? He's chilling. I go to work, right? I get off of work, I get the kids, I cook, right? I get the kids together, feed them, bathe them, put them in the bed, clean the dishes, then recook again for him when he comes in so he can have a hot meal, right? And I'm chilling. I'm making twice as much as he does. I'm paying all of the bills almost. I made it so that we only put in a percentage of the income to a joint account and the rest went to you so that he wouldn't have to pay more out of his checks than I did because I was making more, right? So I'm confused on what it is that you wanted me to do. Was cheating. I didn't
I
give
want
a
you
fuck.
to listen.
Why? Because we built this, right? We had this family, we had this unit. So that's what I was doing. Right, when he said he wanted to do something, I put together funds for him to do that, right, so that I could back him doing it. And what did he do? He took the funds to do other bullshit instead of what he claimed he wanted to do and invest in. So I'm trying to understand what it was. All of the bills were in my name. I don't understand what it is that you're trying to say that I was doing.
Go listen to the Kelly Price song and then come back and talk to me, okay? Because
So,
you know,
So
because I
what
can't.
I'm saying is
let
that
me
in
ask you an
this
example.
thing, I did not look at what he actually wanted to do, what his goals were, what he actually was trying to do, and all that stuff. Because it was like, oh, you want to do this? Okay, well, here, let me go do this. Let me do that. Let me do the other. I didn't give him a chance to do what he wanted to do on his own. My bad.
Okay, let's stay there then. Let's stay there. So, did y'all ever have conflict and argument over that? He wanted to do something and you
Conflict and
and you
arguments over
maybe
what?
disagree over that aspect of him wanting to
No,
do something
no,
different.
because he would take
Y'all
the
never had an
money
argument.
and stuff that I was making, like I would put
No,
aside
no, I'm
for it
saying,
and
yeah.
do
So
other
y'all
things.
never had an argument.
We have
Y'all
arguments.
never had an argument. Okay, outside of cheating, I'm just talking about like argument.
No, like
Where
regular like
maybe
relationship shit. No, our shit ran very oiled. That's the reason why I stayed so long because it was like it was a good running project. It was just that after
so
a
y'all
while, the whole okay, he would be cheating and then he would want to fight because he was cheating, right? Then a chick would call a house because at the time it was a house phone. House phones trying to do shit, right? So then now I'm, what the fuck is this? Why is this? Da 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 da. Because these girls felt like if they got me out the way, that they can have them. Well, you can, you can have them, baby. I don't know what the fuck you want from me, like, right? I'm feeling like this. My husband. We supposed to be making his family work. We supposed to be doing all of this. If I let him go, if I was just to be like get out, right? It would make my days harder because the way that we had our household set up, it needed both of us to work. It needed both of us to make this shit, go easy. We got this household with both of our incomes, with him working second shift and me working first shift. You know what I'm saying? With me dropping kids off and picking them up, it was easier to do that. It was easier to take care of stuff. It was easier with him there, even despite that kind of shit. But the fact that when he got caught up with his shit, he would want to fight and shit, and you would want to try to argue so you can leave and go kick it, or you want to do like nigga, I would give you money and be like, go kick it with your boys, go to the strip, go do something, like you know what I'm saying, go out or whatever the fuck. I wasn't a person that went out like that, so whatever. But it was like he just wanted to fight. He was like immature at the time. You know what I'm saying? Because we were young, and I get that. But yeah, that would be the only thing that we really fought over. I was trying to build this shit up and shit, and he just wasn't from that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? When I got 5 bands in our account, this nigga took that shit and did some stupid shit with it. Because instead of him looking forward about the shit that I was trying to do and what we was trying to do together, he was like, oh shit, I'm balling. I'm about to just take this shit out and go do da 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 da. We weren't like we just wasn't on the same page.
What did he typically do with the money?
With the 5 bands? He went and kicked it. It was like, yeah, I'm about to. So he was supposed to be going with his people to this, like he was doing rapping and shit on the side, right? And they had this thing with like Cash Money. He was supposed to go there, right? Okay, cool. I'm like, cool. I'm thinking like you might take a band or something, right? Get you out and go out, whatever. Y'all driving out there. No, this nigga goes and takes everything so he can go look like a baller. Did nothing with the shit. There's nothing to show for this. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like you're a liability. You're a liability to this entire household because you're thinking of yourself. You're doing shit yourself. you see this and you see this is money to kick it with and play with, and you're not thinking about us, the children, our family, or nothing else that comes after this weekend of you parlaying and feeling like you the man. So after that, he's like, okay, well, what the fuck?
On the mic or the stage, we control the game. Barbarian debate, yeah, they remember the name. Paint the battlefield vivid, every lyric's a stroke. Turn your whole team to ghosts when the truth is provoked. Bar for bar, I'm a titan, got the heavens in awe. Lines heavy as Atlas, hold the world in my claws. I see life through the prism, talking dark in the light. From the dirt to the throne, every wrong made right. Barbarian minds, they got the truth in my veins. They talk heat, but they fire don't match my flame. Flip the map, global presence, I'm a legend in time. They clock out, I clock in, redefining the grind. Cutting lies like confetti, watch the fall of the sea. Barbarians hold the key, now they ain't safe in these streets. We the champions, troubles no missing. Speak facts, let the world stop and listen. Barbarian swing, every point hit the mark. Cut through the noise like flames in the dark. We the champions, ain't no retreat. Still sharp and steel, every word, every beat. On the mic or the stage, we control the game. Barbarian debate, yeah, they remember the name.
Correcting pseudos is fun, it's like righting the wrong. Honey, death toll is large from me collecting the pawns. We keep their heads on the wall and bring them back just for fun. Barbarians is lurking, but really what can be done? Meta AI is no match, you better read more than that. We redefining the game, and you lame just to blame. If you wanna play, set it up. We set the bar, you ain't tough. Step in the ring or you must. Don't waste our time with the fuss. I tip my hat cause you brave, and you the next one we claim. We toast to drink to your name, and then we spark up the flame. I don't care if it's one or two. No, they back by the whole crew. Don't bother running. Once we come in, we gonna collect you.
We the champions, troubles no missing. Speak facts, let the world stop and listen. Barbarian swing, every point hit the mark. Cut through the noise like flames in the dark. We the champions, ain't no retreat. Still sharp and steel, every word, every beat. On the mic or the stage, we control the game. Barbarian debate, yeah, they remember the name.